Right, so we're stacking these films up again, as I simply don't have much to say on either of these films. Our first film is the 9th episode, Fair-Haired Child, brought to us by William Maloney, who is responsible for House on Haunted Hill, the remake. He also made Fear.com, so, not to insult the man, but was Mick Garris running up directors to call? Those are horror films, but I think we can all agree that Masters of Horror implies someone who has made at least one fondly remembered film in the genre. Of course, after some of these entries, I should probably stop questioning what is and what is not a master. We'll be here for the rest of the year on that subject. Anyways, he brings us a tale of kidnapping as a young girl captured by a strange couple is locked in their basement with a fair-haired child. What will happen and what threats truly lie in this house? Well, it must be some creepy shit as we open with some black magic before cutting over to something equally evil, public school. Here we meet Tara, played by Lindsay Pulsifer, who is about to get kidnapped. How will she be kidnapped, you ask? To be clear, this isn't meant to be a comedy, right? Well, she wakes up in the tender care of Judith, played by Lon Petty, who is not the adjudicator from John Wick 3. Thinking she was kidnapped, raped, and dumped a few states over, she's allowed to call her mother. Not that it does much good.
Mom, I was fucking kidnapped in fucking Vermont, and I need some fucking help. Can you call me back? Mom!
Cracks start to form in the nurse cover, and soon she is forced down into the basement. Locked and with nowhere to go, she begins to explore. Seems she isn't the only one hanging around down here. Enough of that, though. We need to get some lore on this couple. Both are musicians, with Anton played by William Samples as a pianist with one major character flaw.
I can't swim.
I have to say, while Maloney isn't a master of horror, I actually do enjoy these segments. I honestly wish more of the film was like this. Of course, I'll have to save a field in England for another day. Anyways, Tara manages to save Johnny, played by Jesse Haddock, but he's speechless.
Johnny, I'm Tara.
Luckily, there's plenty of Dark Souls messages written around. Come nightfall, and the couple begins doing magic. Magic so powerful it gives us more lore, revealing that their son drowned, and they turn to evil forces to bring him back. But who's the son? Probably the dude coughing up 5 years of smoke. So yeah, the last 20 minutes of this film is primarily our protag being chased by his creature, played by Walter Phelan. It's not a bad design, it has some creepy, if over-edited movement. It even has some bizarre abilities allowing it to stretch its limbs. It's a good climax that ends rather surprisingly. Yeah, she's completely gutted by Johnny. Good news, this lets him become a real boy. Bad news, real boys can make deals.
It turns out I'm really good at bargaining.
So yeah, they had a bit of bonding down in the basement, and it's mentioned this is the first girl, so he just makes a deal with the same evil force. His parents for her. And she has zero memory of where she came from. So that's one down, but what about the second? Well, that's Sick Girl by Lucky McKee, who did The Woods, All Cheerleaders Die, and May. I've only ever seen a bit of May, and, well, you already know my thoughts on the so-called Masters of Horror. It was originally meant to be done by Roger Corman, which probably would have been a better choice. Anyways, this tale follows a lesbian lady into Bugs, who dates a woman who in turn is bit by a bug. Yeah, I really don't have to say much for either of these. Our story starts with Professor Malcolm Wolfe, played by Mike McKee, capturing some sort of bug and sending it to Ida Teeter, played by Angela Bettis. She's a struggling lesbian because of all the various bugs she keeps in her apartment. Luckily, there's some kooky individual that sits outside the lab all day that is all for getting together. Bringing her over, they start getting down to it, but the bug has escaped and manages to sneak a bite on the ear of Misty Falls, played by Erin Brown. Misty Falls was her name. That has to be a porn star name. Editing Derek here, she is a porn star named Misty Mundane. No, I don't think the other actress is a porn star. Anyways, it's discovered the bug she knows is very hostile, and the predator has escaped. They do spend a bit of time looking for it, but ultimately just give up, and we get a montage of their relationship. I feel like the bug should be taking a higher priority. Well, Misty is starting to get some severe cauliflower ear. Doesn't help when, due to a door left open, the landlord sees their lesbian action, which she doesn't take too kindly to, and Misty doesn't take very seriously. This all before it becomes the usual lesbian relationship.
Be mad at not me. I didn't do it. I love her. I just.
Well, time to reenact Hitman. Yeah, she's starting to turn into something else. Something we see more of later that night when Misty kills Teeter's friend. And well, it isn't great, but at least it's practical. After fading to black, it's shown our lesbians are knocked up by daddy bugs, so they're straight now? Or at least bisexual? Is this bestiality? Either way, this film isn't good. This whole film was unfunny and seemed more like just trying to get the softest core lesbian action, while randomly remembering that you need a monster at the end. After the trilogy of shit, I really can't be bothered to talk anymore about this entry. It's just not one I recommend. Now, Fair-Haired Child is better. I mean, it isn't great, but I view it much the same I do with the first film of this series, an accent on and off a mountain road. It's direct and does its thing. It tries to have some mystery building up to the transformation, but doesn't have enough time to really keep you in suspense. Still has an okay monster and decent enough chase action. And at least a conclusion. It's one that doesn't hurt the collection, doesn't raise it either.